Hello and welcome to DK Vine Done Slow. And this, apropos of DK Vine Done Slow, is the Donkey Kong Country title that takes the longest amount of time to say. It is Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. There should be an exclamation mark in that title screen. And we're just launching into the demo reel here. Why not? I'll give you time to really ruminate on the title screen in this game. So yeah, this is the third and final installment of the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy, of course. The last brand new Donkey Kong Country game to ever be made by Rare, although certainly not their last Donkey Kong game. Even their last Donkey Kong game starring this titular pair of Dixie and Kiddy Kong. And over the next however many streams and weeks and maybe even, months, we'll definitely go into the new year for this one. I will be getting into every little detail, every little nook and cranny of DKC 3, which I think is probably the Donkey Kong Country game I can find the most to talk about. Is it my favorite Donkey Kong Country game? No. I mean, that's Donkey Kong Country 2, obviously. But I think this game just has so much stuff going on. And just for the record, let's get this on the record right here and right now. I love Donkey Kong Country 3. I know it's weirdly divisive. And I can see why it is divisive. But it's kind of always been outside of my own brain space, because as far as I was ever concerned, as far as DK Vine, our little bubble, was concerned, Donkey Kong Country 3 is great. It's not as great as number 2, which is probably as close as you can come to perfection with this formula, but it's great because it strives to be different from number 2 and number 1. Of course, it's made by a mostly new team. There were people who worked on the first 2 games who kind of graduated up to do Donkey Kong Country 3. Like, for example, like Mark Stevenson, who was the sort of like supporting artist for the first 2 games, became the main artist of this game. That stuff like that. And so, it feels different. It feels sort of like the same, but completely beyond what the first 2 games were doing, and rightly so. The original team would go on to, after number 2, to start work on Project Dream, which of course eventually evolved into Banjo-Kazooie, and that makes up the bulk of the original team. And the DKC 3 team, though, I think they were left this template and this engine and all of these unused ideas from Greg Mayles and others, and they ran with it. And I think they made something that felt different. It felt fresh. Keep in mind, the first 3 Donkey Kong Country games all came out within the span of 2 years. The first one came out in November 94, the second came out November and December 1995, and the third here came out in November 96. And that sounds, like a wide gulf of time, especially when you're a kid, but historically, I mean, it was 2 years after the first game came out, the third game came out, if we're just looking at strict calendars. So that is impressive that they were able to put out 3 Donkey Kong Country games in such a short amount of time, at the twilight of the Super Nintendo's life. And they all feel unique and different. And they're all the same engine, but they never feel like it's just more of the same. They all have a very unique personality, and I think that's what really endears me to DKC3, is its personality, which is very much Dixie Kong's game. I've said this before on Conversations and other platforms that DK Vine has afforded me. Donkey Kong Country 3 is Dixie's game, and it feels a lot more like the adventures that a preteen girl get into in the 1990s. it's even got the babysitting element, like the Babysitter's Club. And you've got, you know, bunch of bears and just like treks through the forest, while Donkey Kong Country 2 is kind of more Goonies. It's Diddy's game. It's a preteen boy going on incredible pirate adventures. Oh, it just got tired of me not choosing a VHS tape there. And Donkey Kong Country, of course, is Donkey Kong's game. More sort of a rollicking, old-timey adventure through temples and the jungle, sort of an Indiana Jones meets Tarzan kind of feel to it. So I really like the different personalities of all three games. And just check in with the chat really quick. Hello to Snapple Apple, John Tessier, Dustin, Sploostastic Josh, and Chris. And they're asking me questions that only I would know, like how many frames of animation were the intro of this game. I don't know things that are technical, like frames and modules. Stuff that's just completely antithetical to the way I view these games, which is pure, unfiltered lore. These games happened as far as I'm concerned. All right, so we're gonna be getting into everything over this series, so just stick with me. First of all, this is the only Donkey Kong Country game where you have to name your save file, which this is the first time I ever had to name a save file in a DKU game. So I like the two-player contest emblem for Dixie and Kiddy, just kind of angry at each other, very moody. I played two-player team back in the day. I was Kiddy, by the way, in the two-player team, just because I was Diddy in the first two games, so I got bumped to Kiddy without my main character. So yeah, we'll do one-player game. Since, you know, it is Dixie's game, but I don't know if I should put Dix. So I think we'll go with No! No, how do I backspace? No, KN, what? Give me the option of backspace. No! No! No. Oh, that was terrible. Let's This is not canon. No, this is No, hold on. No, wrinkly, not now, not now. I've ruined everything. Oh my god. Let's just reset and pretend like that didn't happen. There's a way to backspace, I just forget how. Alright. I was gonna write Kong, but oh, I can look at the screen there. Oh, we're erasing that though. That's a garbage file. Yeah. Erase the tape. This is very much an artifact of this era too. VHS tapes. Like, just a few short years later, VHS would basically be a, let's get the numbers in there. That's excessive. Oh, we don't need all of that. Yeah, so Kong is what I named my original save file in the Super Nintendo. Oh, I guess there's a backspace in there. How am I supposed to know that? This is so unintuitive. We'll do Kongs. Yeah, Kongs. I think that's what I named it. Anyway. Yeah, it's just funny how dated this is. There's not much in the Donkey Kong Country games that comes off as dated as far as technology used. But, I mean, it does kind of work, too, that there are a bunch of simians, right, living in the jungle. So, anyway, you can see right away this map screen is very different from the original 2. And here's Wrinkly Kong, still alive for now. It's me, Mrs. Wrinkly Kong. come on. I found life too hectic at school with all those naughty Kremlings pestering me all the time. Also, you blew it up. If you need to save your game, Dixie, call here anytime. And I'll record your progress on my new VidMe What's It machine for you. God, she's fucking old. She doesn't know what a what a VCR is. So this is the save screen, and yeah, I guess the implication is that she's recording your game to a VHS tape, which doesn't really add up, but I guess the saving technology that Candy used has been integrated into a VHS system. But here we got this menu screen, and it's hard to make out on this screen without bumping up the contrast, but you can actually see the reflection of the save cave in that screen. You've got her chair. There's the most visible aspect, that kind of bluish thing at the bottom there underneath the question marks. And I like how all of this is just a mystery to you right now. Like, if you played the last Donkey Kong Country game, you'll recognize hero coins. Bear coins are easy enough to figure out, and maybe bonus coins. You can figure out that they're analogs to banana and creme coins from the last game. But you got the banana bird there pecking itself. You've got the weird silhouette of, I mean, they're cogs, they're gears, but you don't really know that until the very last world, which is kind of hidden. And then you don't know what those question marks are. So anyway, this is all just gobbledygook. It's nonsense. When crossing the jungle, remember to look left, right, and then up for falling monkeys. Yeah, I should point out, too, the humor in this game isn't as sharp as the first two. I love this game, okay? But I just want to say this is the least funny of the original 3 Donkey Kong Country games. And I don't think it's funny at all. I think every attempt at humor falls flat. And a big part of it, too, is Cranky's mostly been sidelined, but I don't know. There's when Wrinkly Kong has to anchor the comedy in this game, it just doesn't bode well. But here you see you've got full range of motion here. We're gonna go through and seek out all the Banana Bird caves later. I'm not going to be doing this too much on this stream, but yeah, just having like full range of motion in certain parts was a revelation. And granted, this came out 2 months after the Nintendo 64 launched in the West, so it's not this huge like thing. Oh my god, look, I can move Dixie all around, when you can do so much more in Super Mario 64. But it still felt like a pretty big leap from just a year ago, or just, I mean, 2 months ago when Donkey Kong Land 2 also came out. So anyway, and this, of course, shows the importance of the map screen right away in this game, because the first games, you just launch into the first level, right? Like, you see the map screen, the overworld, then you go from the overworld to the first world map, and then you go from the first world map to either Jungle Hijinks or Pirate Panic. But here, you've got shops. You've got the first 3 shops to choose between before you even get to the first world. And I think that's good. I think that's good game design, actually, because it shows that this Donkey Kong Country game is going to put an emphasis more on the map screen and trading and bartering and finding objects. And I mean, it's not amazing. It's amazing that it's in this 2D platform game at all. And it's one reason why I really like this game. I think it shines more in this area than the second one. So it's one reason I really like Ukulele and Impossible Layer, because it really felt like it took the baton that Donkey Kong Country 3 was still holding and sort of expanded this idea of doing more with the overworld by just making it a complete free-roaming top-down experience. And I wish Retro had done more with this in Returns and Tropical Freeze. I don't think it really hurt them that it didn't, but in some ways Returns felt like an evolutionary step backwards from Donkey Kong Country 3 because of this very reason. But let's talk to Bazaar, the very first Brothers Bear, of which there are 13 in the game, and I think we can all name them. It's Bazaar, Barnacle, Brash, Baffle, Bazooka, Blue, Bramble, Barter, Blizzard, Benny, Bjorn, Baffle, and Boomer. But they were also one of the big things of this game is now you have 13 new side characters to interact with, and while not much has been done with the Brothers Bear in the years since, aside from Donkey Kong Land 3, I think it's safe to say they hold a large space in our collective fan consciousness. I don't know, just they took the same tropes that were used to create some of the Kongs. Like, okay, this is this character's deal. This is their one thing. Let's make a whole character out of it. And they were able to get a little bit more silly with it than even the Kongs, because, you know, I'm sure you could flesh out any of these 13, and there'd later be a 14th Brothers Bear in the Game Boy Advance remake, Bachelor, but I'm sure you could take any one of these characters and flesh them out and make them more well-rounded, just like you did with Funky Kong. But let's talk to Bazaar, and yeah. Hello there, young Dixie. My name's Bazaar, and this is my general store. All of my brothers are scattered over these islands. Pop in and say hello if you meet them on your travels. So then, how may I be of assistance to you? So, where's the shell from? Is that a mirror? And nothing today, thanks. Let's get into it. Where's the shell from? Which is a stupid question. I mean, if I walked into a general store and Bazaar or the shopkeeper, because I wouldn't be talking to a talking bear, but if the shopkeeper said, "How can I help you today?" I'd usually just say, "Oh, I'm just browsing, thanks." I wouldn't look at the 2 items on sale and be like, "Oh, tell me more about each one of these 2 items that you're selling." I would probably just leave, and it'd be awkward. This shell was found at the bottom of Lake Orangutanga and is pretty rare. At 5 bear coins, it's a bargain. Would you like to purchase this fine specimen? Yes, please. You gotta be joking. What the fuck, Dixie? Like, I've never taken Dixie to be such a complete Karen, but you've got this option. You can make her into that heinous person who belittles poor retail workers. We're not gonna do that. So I'm gonna say... See, I don't have the money for it, so I just have to say, yes, please. Keep saving, Dixie. I'm sure you'll get enough. You'll get enough together. Oh, okay. Didn't know how he was phrasing that. Is that a mirror? Yes, but it's no ordinary one, though. It was Cranky's great-grandfather's. I can't let it go for more than 50 bear coins. So Cranky's great-grandfather, the only time he's ever mentioned in the lore, although I would say, I would argue that one of the statues in Donkey Kong 2's Hall of Records is indeed Cranky's great-grandfather. So, anyway, he owned this mirror, and somehow Bazaar got it, fell out of Cranky's family. Can I interest you in buying this fabulous item? Yes, please. Just a second, Dixie. You don't have enough for this. Bazaar is very patient. I like him. Nothing today, thanks. Hey, you just have a really nice day now, Dixie, you hear? He's such a gentleman. I also like, it's my fanon, right, that Bazaar and Funky struck up a great friendship, being shop neighbors. Like, they would go over to the other place for lunch and just hang out. And that's why I argue that in Donkey Kong Land 3, the unnamed bear who helps you in the sheepy shop, who runs the sheepy shop, is in fact Bazaar. And of course, it's Bazaar's character model, so it should be considered Bazaar, but most fans like to argue me on this and say that it's a original Brothers Bear character named Bear. Even though, you know, Bjorn is his name means bear, so whatever. But anyway, I like to think that Funky and Bazaar went into business together and opened a sheepy shop in Donkey Kong Land 3. Anyway, Funky's Rentals. Here we go with the defining interpretation of Funky for the next several decades. Yo, Dixie, what's happening? I've set up my smoking new boat shop on this island, but that's not all. I've also brought your excellent cousin Kiddy Kong along for the ride. He may be a toddler, but if you let him throw you upwards, you'll almost reach the stars. Oh yeah! And if you throw him, his humongous body can smash through the floor of some areas. Trust me. Alright. What's Funky got in the foreground there? He's got his beach ball from previous installments. Is that a map or are those blueprints for something? I can't really make it out. I got a barrel that's full of like debris. I don't know. It's kind of hard to make out. I'm shocked this is the interpretation of Funky that is stuck post buyout. Of course, they cleaned up his model a little bit, but I mean, I think it makes sense because Funky is more than just surfer dude. He's the Kong's mechanic. He's their technical wizard. He's the one who builds a lot of their contraptions. So this is the version you want to go with, or Donkey Kong 64's Gun Nut Funky. But I think we all agree that was kind of a weird detour for the character and doesn't really ring true to his ethos. You got bananas hanging up there. You've got a globe actually over there in the left hand side, and I think what's supposed to be shark mouth hanging up, maybe a chomp's mouth, I don't know. But and yeah, what's Funky doing with Kiddy, right? Why is Kiddy just here? Well, let me rent the boat and I'll talk about it. Time to catch some rays. All right. So even Funky's not really that comical in this game. He's just kind of there. Like, I liked his dialogue, but then that's kind of the best it gets for the rest of the game. Anyway, here we got the first evolution of travel in this game, the motorboat, which it doesn't really do much. You can't really go far with it. It can only, like, it's kind of worthless, honestly, just to demonstrate you'll be getting around in boats and that you can't really get past some terrain unless you upgrade. But you could swim over here if you just swam out of Funky's. He doesn't give you the option to, but you could. Of course, there's a banana bird cave up there. I'm not going to do that yet. But yeah, what's Kiddy doing with Funky? Well, I've always thought that Kiddy lives in the Northern Kremisphere. He's not being raised on Donkey Kong Island. He's in the Northern Kremisphere, which is a separate landmass in the Rare Archipelago. I think it's been kind of conflicting over the years. Like, I've heard people argue this is actually supposed to be the nearest continent, like the nearest actual like landmass. I think all told the best interpretation is just another massive island in the Rare Archipelago. But anyway, I think Kiddy lives here. I think Kiddy, and you know, we would later learn Chunky is growing up here, and Funky, being the sage that he is, realized Dixie would need some help. Knew Dixie was coming. Dixie probably gave him a heads up, and so Funky was like, Dixie's gonna need a partner. She doesn't have Donkey. She doesn't have Diddy. Donkey and Diddy are missing, by the way. We haven't even gotten to the story. So let me get... who can I get? Maybe he even asked Chunky, and Chunky, being the coward as he is, said no. And so Funky decided to get his toddler brother, Dixie's cousin, along for the ride. So yeah, the story of Donkey Kong Country 3. Oh my god. So right away though, like the tone of this is so completely different than the first two games. It's just come on. All right, here we're gonna have to immediately switch here. Anyway, well, there we go. It's just a lot more whimsical and lighthearted and not nearly as moody. There will be some moody music tracks down the line, so anyway, there's just so much to talk about. The story of Donkey Kong Country 3 is that Donkey and Diddy went on vacation to the Northern Kremisphere. Sort of just like, hey, let's get away, bro holiday. Let's come back here, Cobble. Let's get away. Let's have a holiday to the temperate Northern Kremisphere. And then they no! Wow. I'm out of practice here. They go missing, and Dixie's like worried about them, so she goes hunting for them. And That's really where the game begins. It's kind of got the least defined plot of the three, and it kind of evolves in real time a little bit because, oh, Donkey and Diddy are missing, and there are Kremlings here. And oh, by the way, the Kremlings are now being led by a mysterious new ruler after the events of Donkey Kong Country 2 and Land 2. K. Rool has been deposed. K. Rool has been overthrown because, you know, he got Crocodile Isle destroyed, presumably. So, the new way to get hero coins in this game is using these kegs to smack coin in his back. And these are where a lot of the thinking puzzles come from in the game. Like hero coins, or DK coins as this game calls them, but we're just going to keep calling them hero coins. Deal with it. They're not as well hidden in this game as they are in Donkey Kong Country 2 or Land 2, but the strategy comes with now trying to figure out how to get the keg smacking coins back. So it's a trade-off, but I think it's a clever... Oh, come on! How did that... She went right on his noggin. That's bullshit. That's some bullshit. I do like the way they tag each other out. Kiddy will... You can see Kiddy will set Dixie aside like that, and Dixie will just blow her bubble gum. It's not as violent as the way Diddy and Dixie would just like kick each other's asses, but I like it. So let's see if we can demonstrate Kiddy's water skip. Nope. I'm playing on a Switch Pro controller, so I'm getting used to the controls here. Nope. I've never been great at this. There we go. That's Kiddy's water skip. It's an ability a lot of people don't know he has, because unless you read the instruction manual, I don't know if it's ever really explained that well. I do like the dock levels. Yeah, there we go. I do like the dock levels. Like, people rag on the music for them, but I like that you've got these temperate, here we go. Green bananas. Kiddy's brother's favorite. I like that Donkey Kong Country 3 is the temperate game. There are jungles later in the game, but for the most part, everything is lake country and mountains and forest and... I don't know. It's just what a lot of people probably grew up with, unless you live in a tropical region of the world. So we got Ellie the elephant. Rambi is not in this game. There are returning animal buddies, but Ellie is the big new addition. She's a baby elephant, and yeah, here she can do a lot of things, like suck up barrels. And there's a booty bird, of course, the later inspiration for the Sea of Thieves island, Booty Isle. That's canon. And anyway, she can pick up barrels, so she's a lot more versatile than Rambi, although she, you know, has drawbacks, obviously. She's not just the blunt instrument that Rambi is, and her abilities can kind of change depending on the stage. Just a little preview of Ellie. Anyway. And then we've got the flagpole. The color, of course, represents the Kong who beat it. And if it's raised all the way, then that means you've got all the bonuses. You also get the exclamation mark on the title. And then, of course, the little yellow pendant means it is hero coin. The hero coin has been obtained. And you got the Kremling flag here, the K, which, you know, we go on about the Kremling Jolly Roger being the emblem, the insignia of the Kremling crew, but actually it is this stupid K. The stupid K, which would resurface later in the game. I think when it's not the nautical faction, the pirate Kremlings, this is just the insignia of the Kremling crew. Maybe the skull that Payon would later introduce in their games would sort of be a complementary picture version of this. But yeah, it's just stupid K. Boring, right? Of course, K is also what Kong starts with, so it gets very confusing. Josh says, fun fact, Ellie is short for elephant. Yeah, thanks. And Chris says, I love the DKC3 soundtrack, but this is Rusty Bucket Bay and absolutely not appropriate for an opening DKC level. Yeah, I mean, it's a tonal misfire. I like it out of the context, but thankfully everything gets sort of evens out immediately after. And here we have our first mill level, and they really kind of overdo it with the mill levels here. And you get a little taste of how Donkey Kong Country 3 is going to operate compared to the first two. It's called gimmicky a lot, and I don't think that's necessarily fair, but it does feel accurate that each level, especially early on, has a thing, has a trope that sets it apart. Here, we've got these slowly moving doors that you have to hoist open. Josh Wallen, the Geek Critique, famously has struggled with Donkey Kong Country 3. He's come to eventually appreciate it, but his thinking was that Donkey Kong Country 3 doesn't have a great presentation of opening levels, and if you don't get past them, it just leaves a sour impression in your mouth. And I never really thought of it like that because I was just excited to get a new Donkey Kong Country game. Oh, come on, I'm gonna have to use Dixie. That part always gets, because you don't want to have to throw Kiddy, let's be honest. Because it's unwieldy and... There we go. I like the mill levels. You know, they're not my favorite archetype, but... It makes sense in a place like the Northern Kremisphere to have a lot of these mills. It reads true to me as somebody who grew up in a temperate, foresty area. There are a lot of mills you can take tours of, so. But yeah, Josh Wallen says that Donkey Kong Country 3 gets vastly more interesting once you get past like Orangutanga and maybe even the second world. And I agree, it does, but oh, it's fine. Of course, these are sneaks. The new rodent iteration after Naughties and Neeks. I like that with a few exceptions. They do change up the Kremling crew animals in every game. Like, yeah, if something's big enough, like zingers. The zingers came back to brilliant execution in Donkey Kong Country 2. But now we have buzzes in Donkey Kong Country 3, which, what are they even supposed to be? They're like weird bees, but they're maybe like hybrid crocodiles, but they've also got cybernetics, and it's confusing, yes. But, which way do I go? Probably this way, because this way is more dangerous. Yeah. I like all of the DKC3 characters. Yeah, they're a little bit weird. Mark Stevenson's designs are definitely a little bit more out there than, you know, Steve Mails or Kev Bayless, but it doesn't mean they're bad, and I think the third game is when you can get a little bit more weird with it. I think it's perfectly fine. It still doesn't touch the weirdness of, like, Donkey Kong Land's hogwash, so... And I don't think it should be the series' primary direction for eternity. Like, I think that, you know, you want to scale back the weirdness, or you should have scaled back the weirdness with Donkey Kong 64, but in isolation, Donkey Kong Country 3 is perfectly fine. Alright, this is going to be something where I'm going to have to use Dixie's. Yeah, it's the hero coin, right? Yeah. So you can just fall right. If you just jump down as Dixie or with Kiddy, you can just miss this completely. And a lot of the secrets in this game are kind of designed for you to miss them and be like, wait, what was that? And then, of course, you have to go back and replay it. And that we're going to do that because I don't have all of these committed to memory. I remember some of them. But if I'm honest, I don't have this game as memorized as I did DKC 2. Or even DKC 1 for that matter. I think there's just so much going on in DKC 3 between the map screen and the lore and all of the in-game text and just a lot to commit to memory, and I forget details like where a bonus barrel is or where a coin is hiding. So here Kiddy, I feel kind of bad. Why don't we put you on the board there now? Now it's even. Alright, and yeah, here we got Wrinkly's Save Cave. Now, here's the thing about DKC 3, right? You can leave the world maps at any time. This isn't like the first two games where you have to rely on Funky to get to Funky, or you beat a boss, and then you can backtrack. You can backtrack at any time in this game. So really, if I wanted, I could go back and save at Wrinkly over here. And I don't know where I read it, what the actual source is. Maybe it was Rare's website, but there's been a claim that there aren't individual save caves, that these are just tunnels back to the main save cave on the overworld by Funky's Rentals and Bazaar's General Store. Interesting, if true. I don't know if that's supported in all of the other textual canon, whether that be instruction manuals or player's guides or what, but it would help kind of explain why it doesn't matter anymore. And she's playing Super Mario 64, by the way. A nice little nod to the fact that DKC 3 was going to be overlooked by this point because the N64 was already out, and this was just kind of rounding out the trilogy, which is, you know, nice. It's nice for those who couldn't get an N64 right away to have this. For a Donkey Kong Country fanatic like me, the N64 didn't matter yet because it's a lovely. I think that's David Wise. It's one of David Wise's few contributions to this. Is the remix of the castle theme from Super Mario 64. Just kind of nice melding of two different eras of Nintendo, sort of passing the torch a little bit. And I didn't, I got Donkey Kong Land 2 the day the N64 came out because they both came out on the same day, and I was way more excited about Donkey Kong Land 2. And, of course, the promise of Donkey Kong Country 3 meant the N64 was basically irrelevant, except for fantasizing about what the Donkey Kong game was going to be on the Nintendo 64. And the very week Donkey Kong Country 3 came out, it was revealed in Nintendo Power that the Donkey Kong Country Donkey Kong would be in Mario Kart 64. So when Donkey Kong Country 3 came out, I was like, all right, well, now I need to start saving up for an N64. And Wrinkly's little play sessions in the save cave definitely helped drive that urge in my brain. So here we got this little island here, and it's Barnacle's Island, the second Brothers Bear. Now in the GBA remake, it would be Bachelor on this island, and I think we've sorted out in our fanon that Bachelor is just crashing at Barnacle's place, being the, sleeping around cat that he is. He doesn't really have a permanent residence. He just finds shelter in whoever will share a bed with him, and barring that, he'll stay at one of his brother's places. So and there's Barnacle. Hello there, how's it going, Kongs? Barnacle's me name, and I've set up home here to build me shell collection. Yes, I used to be a scuba diver, but I've given it up. I just take it easy here now. God, the dialogue moves so quick in this game that I'm like, slow down. I'm trying to do a funny voice. Let's go back. You know, I don't think there's anything which would persuade me to get rid of this bird. And you see a banana bird there. And you see there's a shell collection in the background with a missing hole. So you put 2 and 2 together and you're like, oh. I wonder how many bear coins do we have yet? Let me just save the game and find out. So we have 4, so 1 more and we can afford the shell. I like Cranky's little portrait up there. Well, let's go ahead and do this. What? Yeah, Smuggler's Cove. What are they smuggling on this inland lake? But here we've got the game of Simon. B-A-X-Y. It's fairly easy. They're going to get far harder, and I'm going to make a goddamn fool out of myself later on. But that's our first banana bird. You're welcome. Let's go save, because I've got to see. Oh, Wrinkly's asleep, so we're just going to leave this bird here. Actually, the banana birds, I think they're supposed to be flying back, but in my headcanon, I've always interpreted Dixie and Kiddy bringing the banana bird back with them, then dropping it off at Wrinkly's place. So she's just going to wake up, and there's going to be a creature, a banana that's flying around. She's going to be freaking out. I think we should wake her up and say, hey, Wrinkly, we're leaving this creature with you, this mystical creature that we just found. There's no lore explanation. That's really the thing about Donkey Kong Country 3, isn't it? They don't really explain anything to you. Like, in the instruction manual, they'll explain anything, but the way things roll out, it's a lot more of a convoluted plot, and there's a lot of elements that don't make any sense, really, until the end game. And this whole thing with banana birds, you're like, what is going on with banana birds? I don't know. And just the whole plot really hinges on the final revelations in KAOS Core and reaching the Banana Bird Kingdom. So until then, it's kind of just muddled. It's Dixie and Kiddy trying to solve this mystery of what happened to Donkey and Diddy, and getting into mischief along the way. Luckily, most of the kegs regenerate, so if you're stupid like me, you get another shot. Sometimes they don't. I don't want to take a... Why? I keep going to hit select, but the way the Switch Pro controller is laid out, I keep taking captures. It's been a struggle of mine playing these on the Switch. My long, slender fingers yearn for the simplicity of the Super Nintendo controller. And yes, I know I could have gotten one for the Switch like I did the N64, but I didn't, alright? So these are the versions of Clobber in the game. And they don't really work as well, honestly, because the barrels are painted, so you know exactly what you're gonna... The whole appeal of Clobber and Kaboom, right, is you didn't know. You didn't know that they were gonna be baddies, and they jump out, and they jump scare, and they startle you, and it's like, oh, there's Engard. Hi, Engard! But it's like, what, Naka and Kachuka and... I don't know. And we got Coco's here. Coco. They are the clownfish baddies. And we like Orangutanga. For as much as we go on about the dockside music, Lake Orangutanga is a lovely little environment. I like that there is a vacation-y, touristy lake in the Rare Archipelago that the Kongs frequent. I think if I had to choose a home to live in, or maybe just stay for an extended period of time, Lake Orangutanga would be up there in the Donkey Kong series, in the DKU. I mean, okay. Just because I need a 5th coin and the DK barrel is right there. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to be bad, but... And yeah, so a big part of the Kremling crew in this game is that... I always thought it was kind of a shit effect, the way the booty birds fly off into the distance. What? I mean, they did what they could on the hardware, but just like... it's almost too big of a swing for the Donkey Kong Country games to make. For as impressive as they are graphically... Oh no! The fuck did I? Yeah, I should have. See, how was I supposed to know that in the moment? That's one of those things where it's just like, oh, now you tell me game. So we're gonna have to go back and we're gonna have to get that. I went on on a booty bird tangent, and I missed the ability to get that bonus barrel. But yeah, the Kremling and the whole Kremling crew in this game, they're all new. There's no returning baddies, save for one. Spoilers, it's K. Rool. But and here you got, see this little hole in there? Yeah, they don't do this often, but early on they really pushed this notion that you're gonna have to use Kiddy for this quite a bit. It's kind of the equivalent to the hand slap in the original Donkey Kong Country game, where ultimately you don't use it a lot. Yeah, I know, it's a limp, flaccid flag. I know, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna go right back in. So this idea of the Kremlings being all new, they look very different in this game. They look less crocodilian and they look more like they're iguanas. I've heard mutants. They look a little bit like Gex. They all look a little bit like Gex. And I've talked about how when Donkey Kong Country 3 was announced, and at E3 1996, and then through the summer of 96, I would be picking up video game magazines trying to get some details on Donkey Kong Country 3. And I picked up one because it had Gex in a little side corner of the cover. And I thought Gex was a new Donkey Kong Country 3 Kremling because he looked awfully similar to some of the other Kremlings that I was seeing in this game. Turned out to not be the case. Turned out there was just a character called Gex who had his own video game series. Go figure. I don't know things outside of Donkey Kong, but I do think Gex would be right at home in DKC 3. Okay. Here's the bit. I guess I'm supposed to look at those bananas and be like, yeah. Is this Kiddy's water skip, or can I just get over there with Dixie? No! Is it Kiddy's water skip? Seriously? Alright. Start and select, baby. Title trouble. Yeah. Shouldn't be giving me this much trouble. For 26 years. It's weird, because DKC 3... ultimately is the Donkey Kong Country game I probably replayed the least. That's probably because there's just so much stuff in it. The more stuff there is in a game for me, the harder it is for me to want to replay it, because it feels like there's more of a... oh, come on, I had that. There's more of a psychological commitment, right? So just jumping into it... And maybe that's an indictment. Maybe that's the reason why you shouldn't have so much stuff. But It's definitely why I don't replay Donkey Kong 64 as much as you would think I would. It's why, Banjo-Kazooie has always been my go-to, not Banjo-Tooie. But I really like Donkey Kong Country 3 when I do play it. Alright, let's get this right this time. Man, they really want you to commit to knowing Kiddy's water skip this early on. It's a relatively hard move to pull off. It's the most advanced form of roll jumping. Come the fuck on. Oh, thankfully, the game is a little bit gracious and kind here and says, alright, it took you that much trouble to get up here. We're gonna just deposit you right underneath it. And then that's it, yeah, so. Those beetles, by the way, are called knickknacks. Another obvious play on a DKC2 baddie. We had Neeks to Sneaks as the rodents, and now we have Click-Clacks to Knickknacks. So, there you go. Oh, we can buy the shell. Let's go buy it. I don't want to wait. But I want Dixie to be the one, since she's the one who first haggled with them. So we're just gonna... Since we can't, tag each other out on the map screen, they didn't think of everything. Doc and Funkies. Hey now. Keep looking out for those items, Kongs. I'm a few parts short for my new invention. Take it real easy, Kongs. I'd probably be flipping around a hammer too if I was a man with hammers. Alright, let's get the shell from Bazaar. So then, how may I be of assistance to you? Where's the shell from? Bottom Lake Orangutanga, 5 bear coins, it's a bargain. Would you like to purchase this fine specimen? Yes, please. It's a deal. I hope you're very happy together, crazy person who thinks shells are alive. Oh, and now he's gonna offer us little tidbits of knowledge. So after you buy the shell, this opens up this line of dialogue. So, who owns the castle? And if you were like me in 1996, who, you bought the shell as soon as you could buy it, like we just did, you've never been far enough on the map screen to even know that there was a castle. So you're like, wait, what castle? What the fuck is Dixie talking about? What castle? I don't see a castle. How am I supposed to know? Did I miss something? So this kind of sucks a little bit. They should have at least waited until you got the turbo skis so you could see that there was a castle. Or at the very least, they could have done this like panning view of the Northern Kremisphere when the game began, similar to how they were going to open up DKC2 before they cut it, but maybe there just wasn't enough memory. Anyway, yeah, there's a castle at the very north of the map screen. Well, I ventured up there once, but if you want to know what I discovered, it'll cost you 2 coins. Oh, yeah. So, what do you think? Are you interested? Oh, do tell. I'm saving for Swankies. I'm saving myself for Swanky. Are you sure some cheeky lad called Link was in just last week and he asked about the castle too? He didn't have enough coins, but he seemed such a nice fellow that I agreed to accept 500 rupees instead. After that he left, muttering about my shells being the wrong shape or something. Oh well. So that's a Link's Awakening reference, and I've had this posited to me several times. Does this mean, like, Link is running around the Northern Kremisphere? Well, it depends, right? Because we saw Link in the video game hero screen at the end of Donkey Kong Country 2. We say that those could be just animatronic representations of the characters. However, Link has visited the Rare Archipelago, or at least various incarnations of Link have visited, through Smash Brothers, which we view as canon. So I always like to think that maybe there is a unseen sort of event where maybe the Link's Awakening Link will eventually time travel to the Northern Kremisphere and have this very experience with Bazaar Bear via a Smash Brothers game. Other than that, it's probably just, Bazaar Bear making stuff up, humoring kids with these old fairy tales about the Legend of Zelda. He thinks they're stupid kids. All right, let's go take the shell to Barnacle. You know, I don't think there's anything which would persuade me to get rid of this bird. What a beautiful shell! It's just what I need to finish off me collection. Oh, I guess he does talk like a pirate. Say Kongs, would you swap that shell for my bird? And then Dixie says, "Arr, that I will." And then Dixie could also say, "Nah, I like my shell." Can I also point out that Barnacle might be the only character in the DKU, or the only Nintendo character that is portrayed as smoking. He's got a corncob pipe there, or some sort of pipe. Forget which actual. I'm not a pipe enthusiast, but yeah, he's clearly got a pipe in his mouth, and you don't see any smoke coming from it. But it's amazing to me. Even in 1996, they were very sensitive about depictions of smoking, tobacco, alcohol use, and you would think this would have been too much. I guess there are characters who smoke in Conquer, obviously. Conquer's bad for it. I'm talking about non-M-rated games, but anyway. You would? That's great. Here's the bird. Please take care of him. This bird that I said I would never part with up until I saw this fucking yellow shell. And now we can check and see that the bird is safe in Wrinkly's save cave. Yes, now there's 2. I love this bird that you found. It's an energetic little thing, isn't it? So I think that line of dialogue plays whenever you bring the first banana bird back, unless you get the randomizer where she's asleep. Then she doesn't say it until the next time you come back. So she wakes up and she's like, oh, maybe Dixie and Kiddy left a note and we just don't see it. It's off screen. Aren't you going to give your favorite relative a goodbye kiss? That's weird. There should be fan art of them just making out with Wrinkly. Skidda's Row. Yeah, see, Skid's Row reference in Donkey Kong Country 3. This is also kind of breaking the norm in the Country series, where we just have an errant snow level in the first world. Donkey Kong Land had some snow levels in its first world, which was mostly jungle and Gangplank Galleon. I like it, though. I think it works, especially when all of your worlds basically take place in the foothills of mountainous regions. You could just have a snow level, and you can see it. It even it goes up a little bit in elevation, so you got a little bit of snow there. I could see some light skiing in Lake Orangutanga. It's touristy, you know, so it makes sense to me. It's just weird and wild when you're playing this in 1996 and you're thinking, wow, there shouldn't be a snow level yet. We're not even at the snow world. I do like the design of the snow levels in Donkey Kong Country 3. However, I will cop to, again, something DKC3 doesn't do well is when it plays with tropes established by the first 2 games. And because it never really does them quite as well. So here it kind of is going for a Gorilla Glacier snow barrel blast kind of thing where it gets darker, a snowstorm moves in, but it can never compare. And so it just kind of only commits to it halfway. Yeah, and it's snowing now. You see, it's not as special as it was the first time around. And I don't think it's executed as well. It sounds like I'm criticizing DKC3. I love DKC3. In fact, it's my second favorite Donkey Kong Country game to this day. I adore it. I just think there are areas where it doesn't do things as well. But there are areas where it evolves the formula, and I think it's the best version of it. So, come on. Was it just to find the token? It wasn't a bash the baddies? I'm gonna have to go back. Those are Skittas, by the way, the Kremlings. Oh, it is a bash the baddies. Okay. So then I wasn't in the wrong for trying it. I always want to get the patented two-head stomp when they, you know, they converge on each other and you can get them in one go. Having trouble pulling that off today, though. So yeah, Mark Stevenson's Kremlings in this game are all nudist with weird-shaped bodies. And I love it. I think it's just such a weird take, especially coming after the first game where they were kind of in army fatigues, they're soldiers, and the second game where they were pirates. Here it's just like, we don't know what we are, so we're just going to hang dong and flash vag. See, the storm's passing already. Where the joy of Snow Barrel Blast is the storm doesn't stop until you get to Ice Age Alley. I do love those mountains in the background, though. And this is a find the coin. Still have a urge to bash the baddies, though. I have to fight that urge. There's little claptrap-looking motherfuckers. They're called crimps. They're not claptraps. They're not clamp-ons. They are crimps. And they're actually wearing dog collars, which really, I think, pushes the idea that claptraps and clamp-ons and now crimps are kind of the more bestial crocodiles of the Kremling crew, sort of like dogs. Or cats, as we'll see in Donkey Kong 64. Murky Mill, another mill level, and it is the first time we really establish a trait of Ellie. Bad at collecting all these bananas. So, if you didn't know, there is an urban legend, which actually might have some basis in it, that elephants are scared of rodents, or at least rodents startle elephants. And this is the gimmick of this level. Actually, there is some truth to it, at least in light testing. I think the Mythbusters tried it out, and sure enough, the elephant was frightened of the mouse. But so you see, yeah, if the sneak is exposed in the light and Ellie can see it clearly, she gets startled. So, I don't know, it's a clever little thing. It's a clever little touch idea for a level. So you really want to take them out before you even get to the light. They're really generous with the life balloons. Life balloons, by the way, do resemble Dixie in this game, as they should. Donkey Kong Land 3 would weirdly not use the Dixie balloons. They would use Diddy balloons left over from Donkey Kong Land 2, even though Diddy doesn't even appear in the game at all, even in a end scene. So, no, I'm not going to get the O. It's fine. Kong letters aren't ever really important, unless it's Donkey Kong Land, where they save the game, or the retro games where they open up key temples. Okay. There we go. Well, okay, fine. Fine. You would think an elephant's foot would be able to withstand that, but apparently not. Sure showed me. these constantly regenerating barrels, kegs, and what have you. Such a ubiquitous part of this game. They're everywhere, and you stop thinking about it after a while. But comparing it to other Donkey Kong games, it always feels like a weird thing. Like, and it's funny that the design team created so many challenges and tasks and conundrums that you would constantly need barrels, and they felt bad enough for you that, you know, they didn't want you to waste your one shot. And it would make the gameplay super frustrating for so much of this if you only had one shot at a barrel or a keg. And so again, I'm glad they did it, but it is kind of this weird, like, design choice, maybe a crutch a little bit, that I don't think I realized when I was younger. It's only now. Yeah, I'm bad at jumping over buzzes. I don't get enough of a running start, especially with Ellie, where, you know, she's not as nimble as Dixie. Or Kiddy, even. Maybe as nimble as Kiddy. I haven't really compared, but... Recoil, the bouncy Kremling in this game. They almost came back in Donkey Kong 64. There's been models of them uncovered in files. I don't know if it was the kiosk demo or if it was just the main game itself. I didn't need to do that because I brought a barrel with me. I came prepared. Watch this. Yeah. Nice. Alright, find the coin. Ah, come on. Thing I've been struggling with all level, and they make it the bonus barrel. It's fine. Again, at least DKC3 is generous with, giving you the ability to retry again. The retro games, if you don't get it in the first shot, you have to replay the level. So I'm thankful for that, at least. I prefer it this way, honestly. If you can get back to the bonus barrel, they shouldn't arbitrarily destroy it or anything. I never liked that choice. Ow! So yeah, when the sneaks have Ellie startled, she is vulnerable, completely vulnerable. Even if you land on the sneak, it's not enough. It will they'll kill you dead. So, but if she holds up a keg, it's shielding her eyes, so she can walk into the light. I haven't tested out, you know, how far. And look, there's what the coin looks like. Sans hero coin, just holding up a trash can lid. They're basically worthless now. Well, whatever. He thinks he's safe. Idiot. The render of coin has always perplexed me because it looks like there is a hero coin or a DK coin in the trash can that just painted on the trash can. And I never really knew if that was supposed to be the design for coin without the hero coin. Like, they would just have a faint outline of a hero coin, but it didn't read well in the game, so they removed it completely. I don't know. Look up the render of a coin sometime, though. It's on our gallery, or you can find it on DKC Atlas or Super Mario Wiki, or all of the greats. But I really like Ellie. She's not as... I said she's more versatile than Rambi, but I don't know if she's as functional as Rambi. She can do more, but is the more that she can do really beneficial? But I like that there's an animal buddy that... I don't know, just feels and controls different. It isn't just a bulldozer. Ow. Alright, whatever. There we go. That's the one that got me last time, which is why I was so cautious, but... I missed the leap. So I can get this, but I have to... There we go. Here, Kiddy, I feel bad. I'm monopolizing this with Dixie, but we'll put some blue on the board. I always associate Kiddy with Ellie, too, because, of course, both presumably from the Northern Kremisphere, both debuted in the same game. Kiddy is a baby, Ellie is a baby. Kiddy was riding on Ellie in the Donkey Kong Racing trailer, so I don't know. I think they make a fine pair like Donkey Kong and Rambi, or I don't know. I always associate Dixie with Squitter. Swanky Sideshow. So the man of the hour, the man of the month, Swanky Kong. I guess Kiddy is also kind of a big deal right now. I haven't talked about this on this stream, but yeah, Kiddy seemingly appeared in the Super Mario Brothers movie trailer with Donkey Kong, driving a cart out of Donkey Kong Island, and Swanky Kong is in the background of the poster with Donkey Kong, along with Diddy and Dixie and Cranky, who of course we already knew was going to be in the movie. But yeah, Swanky looks like he does in his sideshow persona. So this is what Swanky did after the Bonus Bonanza Studios on Crocodile Isle all blew up and sank. And in fact, there's a great bit on Rare's website back in the day where they explain that what was keeping Swanky from getting a new TV deal, either on Donkey Kong Island or elsewhere in the Rare Archipelago, was that there was a cheating scandal because he had Diddy and Dixie so much on a show, so much as contestants on those last episodes he filmed, that there was allegations of rigging the game in their favor, and it basically was a miniature scandal that kept him blacklisted from all of the TV networks, DKTV or otherwise. And so Swanky had to kind of go more grassroots and start a traveling sideshow versus actually being a TV star, which if if the Mario baseball game was a Mario Superstar Baseball, not Sluggers, the first one, if that game is any indication, and I think it is, Swanky's still operating a sideshow like a decade later because his tent is seen on Donkey Kong Island. So yeah, I think Swanky's still at it, and he's still dressed in his sideshow garb on the poster, which, granted, the movie's not going to be necessarily canon with the games, but I think it's a good indication, maybe, of where Nintendo and the new Donkey Kong brand managers will take Swanky. So let's talk to Swanky. Well, would you believe it? Hello, Kongs. Welcome along to my all-new bonus tent. My show's on the road, and it's in every land. The cost of this game, 2 coins in the hand. There's some great prizes on offer today, so come on in and choose to play. Just do that and you're away. So come on, Kongs, and have a go. You could well win. You never know. So I do prefer the cheesy game show version of Swanky, but I do like Carnival Barker Swanky just as much. I'm not gonna be picky when it comes to Swanky Kong, right? I think Swanky's great in both iterations, and I'm so happy that he's potentially back, at the very least being recognized and referenced in 2022. Okay, Kongs, it's your choice today. Which game would you like to play? Head-to-head, race to 25, endurance. So I'm bad at this. Let me just be on the right. I haven't practiced this game in years, and I don't think I was that great at it when I was religiously playing this game. So we're just gonna do it. I'm gonna lose. Today's contest is a throwing game with a difference. Whoa, okay, I didn't get to finish that, Swanky. Oh, here's Cranky. Here's Cranky. This is what Cranky does in this game. Now you've got to beat yours truly if you want to win any prizes. Ah. Shit! Shit! You need to eat more bananas. Even Cranky's not... He's kind of lame in this game. Yeah, I want to try one more time, because that left a bad taste in my mouth. Also, that they get Cranky's dialogue in that small little window. Eat shit, Cranky. Alright, I got my groove back. There's a little bit of a lag. Okay, so that's funny. Cranky's funny there. He just pelted a softball at Kiddy Kong's head, at a toddler's head. That's worth it. And so yeah, I can keep spamming this essentially and get stock up on bear coins. I almost said banana coins because they're this and Donkey Kong Land 3 are the only games that use bear coins in the series. So yeah, I'm just gonna spam this for a little bit, and we'll. I like how Cranky calls this being out of retirement. I would say Tropical Freeze is more accurate to that statement, but. It's also where it spawns, too. Like, if you have to go far for it, it puts you at a disadvantage. Ah! Nope, I lost. It's harder than it looks. Go and challenge Wrinkly and her friends. So that raises the question, who are Wrinkly's friends? You know, outside of the Kong family, who does Wrinkly hang out with? What unseen Kongs, geriatric Kongs, would she be playing like Pinochle Canasta with, Shuffleboard? I really want to see it. Who was at Wrinkly's funeral? I'll try one more. I want best 2 out of 3. Or best 3 out of 5. Alright. Also, the plushies in the background there. You got Engard, you got Squawk, Squitter, and something I don't recognize. It always looked like a bootleg Minnie Mouse or something. I don't know. One more time. One more time. Whatever. I'm in a swanky mood right now. Happiest player at the end wins. Yeah, it's slower throwing the ball than you would think. There's more of a delay, but once you get the hang of the timing, it starts to become pretty fun. Let me try one more, one of the different modes, because I did head-to-head enough. I think I proved that I can do it. Let's do race to 25. Thankfully, you don't actually have to hit the bullseye, you just have to hit the little cardboard Kremling, or whatever material it's made out of. I like the design of those. Are those supposed to be claptraps, or are they just a made-up Kremling that doesn't really have any real analog in the games or the universe, for that matter? I think it is a claptrap, which, okay, is a reference to claptraps that otherwise... Or maybe they're supposed to be cobbles? I don't know. Race to 25 is a lot easier because there's more room for error. Of course, you still have the timer, but... See, and I lapped Cranky by 10. Yes, I'm off to consult my lawyers about this. So, again, who are Wrinkly's friends? Who are Cranky's lawyers? That's a spin-off that I would love to see. I can already sense people in the chat, if Chris is in the chat, starting to go off about Ace Attorney. Josh says they're supposed to be crushes, but the Gaboings made them fucked up. And he also says Wrinkly's friends are the characters of Super Mario 64 who she thinks of as friends in her mind. She's one of us. Dustin said Cranky is actually wearing a full body brown onesie. Because Chris asks, is Cranky wearing pants right now? I mean, Cranky never wears pants, though, right? I mean, Cranky is always sans pants. He's always letting it all hang out, like most Kongs. Except, unless you're like Funky Kong, where a lot of the times Funky is only wearing pants. But, I mean, not in his like present design with the tank top, but traditionally he would just be wearing shorts. And anyway, Belcha's Barn, beloved Donkey Kong Country 3 boss Belcha, which continues the tradition of boss characters. Oh, there we go. Who are big things. Oh no. So he's belching out these knickknacks, these yellow knickknacks. There we go. Kiddy is probably the easier character to use here because he throws straight like Diddy and doesn't throw overhand like Dixie or Donkey. So you throw it right in his mouth. But yeah, there's Dum Drum in the first game, who's a big cybernetic keg. And then you've got... No! And then you've got Cleaver in Donkey Kong Country 2, who's a giant mechanical sword. And now you've got the barrel with the big fleshy organic eyes. And it suggests that the Kremlings are engaging in sort of experiments. And yeah, that's it. Look, I can walk away. It doesn't end till I collect the bonus coin. Ah, Kiddy earned that. Oh, and there's a cannon. Just a regular cannon. They don't really come into play much here in Donkey Kong Country 3, but of course in Donkey Kong Country 2, they were a big deal. But, yeah, you've got Kremlings engaging in these experiments with cybernetics, and we know... We've seen that with the buzzes, right? But what else are they up to? Does Belcha indicate broader usage of mixing organic and mechanical components? And what does that mean for the story? I mean, it means something for the story. I won't say what yet, but, I mean, I've already spoiled K. Rool's in it, right? So... Hey, Funky's in his own. Cash is not a problem, Kongs, because my boats you can loan. Surf's up. You mean in a lake? Chris says the unknown toys are 2 bears and a Rosie ragdoll from Rosie Star Jim? Rosie and Jim? That was airing at this time and was the Teletubbies of its day. I think Cranky needs his lawyers because he's going to get sued. So Wrinkly just said she was going to go to bingo. That's where her friends are. We're figuring out lore that we haven't touched for 26 years. Wrinkly has bingo friends. Oh my god, could you imagine who they could be? I wonder if they're Goldilocks' family from Goldilocks and Little Bear. I'm making some connections here. Hang 5 Kongs. Hang Dong Kongs. Bounty Beach. So here we go. A, X, A, B. A, X, A, B. This is like the Tip Top Choir from Bubble Gloop Swamp. Fortunately, very fortunately, with the Pro Controller, the button layout is the exact same for the corresponding buttons as it is on the Super Nintendo. So it's not going to be the situation where I have to remember where I map the buttons like it would be with the Wii U gamepad, which was a fucking nightmare the last time I played this on the Wii U. I think that was during our streamaganza for one of the not E3s. So anyway, 3 banana birds now, and you see the shell is now silhouetted out. It says we've collected it, we've already traded it, it's out of our inventory. And then we just awkwardly leave. I want to know who Wrinkly's bingo friends are. We need to settle this as a community. Not settle it, because it should be an open question. I don't know, I just want to get a good idea of who was at Wrinkly's funeral. Anyway, that's Lake Orangutanga, and as far as first worlds go in a Donkey Kong Country game, in some regards, it's bottom. It's dead last, and I'm including the retro games too. But as far as an overall concept, an overall vibe, right, I really love Lake Orangutanga. I think it almost tries to do too much for a first world, and part of that may be that they also switched out a stage with Kemwood Forest late in the game's development, and maybe that made it better, and I think it probably did make it better, but I don't know, there's like 2 mills, 2 docks, and a snow world, and I don't know, the game only goes up from here, and I really do like Lake Orangutanga, though. I'm glad it exists, but yeah, if I'm being honest, intellectually honest rather than emotionally honest, I would say it is the weakest of the 5 Donkey Kong Country games. Now, if you factor in Donkey Kong Land games, I don't know, maybe it's got a shot. Maybe it could sneak past the first world of Donkey Kong Land 3, or Cape Codswallop, by the way, or Donkey Kong Land 2, just by being, you know, mostly a reheated Donkey Kong Country 2, but oh well. Kemwood Forest. Now, you notice that this is a environment in the Northern Kremisphere that also uses Kremling, or some form of Kremling in its name, Kemwood. Now this suggests, and I've long argued this, that Kemwood Forest is, and Northern Kremisphere, and Krematoa later in the game, it suggests that this was part of the Kremling Empire of antiquity, the Kremlantis Empire, which spanned from Kremlantis, Crocodile Isle, to Donkey Kong Island, to the Northern Kremisphere. And while, of course, the Northern Kremisphere and Donkey Kong Island were eventually liberated and Kremlantis sank, and the Kremlin sphere of influence was reduced to Crocodile Isle, I think it's interesting that while Donkey Kong Island, you know, became Donkey Kong Island, the Northern Kremisphere retained Kremling as part of its name, despite seemingly being run by the bears. Not necessarily this bear family, but just, I assume there's a bear governance. There's bears that aren't the brothers bear. Whether that includes Banjo's family, I'll leave that up to you, but it does. So, you don't get a say in it, actually. Barrel Shield Bust Up. We're going to play for about 30 more minutes today. So I'm not going to finish Kemwood Forest, but here we go. Here is one of the absolute best archetypes in the Donkey Kong Country 3 has to offer to the series. The implausibly large redwood trees that are weirdly hollowed out on the inside, which implies some serious termite damage. And here we have Minkies, the antagonistic simian of the game. Of course, it's a play on Mankey, who were the Mankey Kong, the baddie orangutans from the first Donkey Kong Country game. They're never referred to as Minky Kong in the instruction manual, player's guide, or anywhere else in the materials, but I do like to think they are Minky Kongs. And they are, they're baddie capuchins affiliated with the Kremling crew. We would later see good capuchin monkeys in Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. And of course, Pepito Kong, beloved Sea of Thieves character, fully canonical Pepito Kong, is also a capuchin who has a heart of gold. I did lose Kiddy while I was talking about Minkies. I'm aware. I'm aware I lost them. I love these environments. This was one of the more striking... Oh, come on. The hit detection isn't that great when you have 3 Minkies throwing their little nuts at you. I think they're acorns they're throwing, but... Yeah, so seeing screenshots of this and footage, it was like, oh my god, Donkey Kong Country 3 is going to be so incredible. Because, yeah, this is the kind of thing like the bramble mazes in Donkey Kong Country 2, where it's, or you know, the ship rigging, or maybe the ice caverns, where, yeah, it's implausible. What? So I have to be facing away from the barrel. Like, if I'm doing this, the barrel's not going to cover my ass. But if I'm facing away, it's just because I was clipping through it, though. That's garbage. It's hot garbage, Minkies. I reject that. So yeah, this keeps me safe from their acorns. Not even worth trying. Oh, there's a warp barrel. I didn't want to warp. Warp barrels shouldn't be that easy to get to. I shouldn't just fall into it. Not where you think there's going to be a bonus barrel. When you're on the hunt for bonus barrels, you shouldn't be able to accidentally stumble into a warp barrel, because face facts, most of us don't want to warp. I believe Donkey Kong Country 3 was the game to solidify warp barrels as a thing. While Donkey Kong Country 2 did have warp barrels, I don't think they were branded. I think they just you know, shot you to the end of the level. And there were some warps in Donkey Kong Country 1 as well. I'm thinking of the one in Minecart Carnage that just like shot you to the end of the level. And then in the GBA remix of these games, they really did go all in on warp barrels as a concept. They added them. They made sure they were all branded as warp barrels. So warp barrels are kind of a retcon in the Donkey Kong Country series, but it was first established here in the actual chronology of time. So yeah, you can see here. And there's a bonus barrel, which is what I was looking for. It's weird that the bonus barrels don't always shoot you out. Sometimes they do teleport you. I haven't figured out where... I think it's where there's no plausible way to place to shoot you. Shit. And so that it just opts to teleport you, but it's a weird distinction to make. Am I gonna lose it now? Do I have to... There's probably Minkies in the way. Yeah, I see you, dirty monkey. Alright, I have one shot at this. Because I've lost Kiddy. So this is my one shot. I guess I can always start and select. But I got it. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everybody just relax. Oh, well, there's Kiddy up there, so I could have... Okay. I could have backtracked. Yeah. Kiddy just also... Like, the hit detection is confusing here because Kiddy is so much bigger than the barrel shield. So... You're never really sure when it's going to work with Kiddy, let alone Dixie, because you just saw Dixie just got taken out. You'd think the barrel shield would be a little bit bigger. But also, who's providing the barrel shields? Maybe the problem is relying on the barrel shields at all, but you have to, because there's no way to evade that without... Alright. I guess the Kongs would be providing the barrel shields. I don't know if it's like something funky rigged up. It's never explained. Here's a very sneaky coin. The hero coin sound is still the most satisfying thing in the world to me. Just collecting this big DK coin. I still think they are the greatest collectible in all of gaming. Because there's just this sense of accomplishment when you get the DK coin. No matter the mechanism, if you just find it hiding in the world, or it's being held by a Kremling under the trash can. When you get it, it still feels very, very good. Minkies are annoying, but I love Minkies. I love that we had baddie primates again. Working with the Kremling crew. I thought Mankeys were so interesting. And Minkies aren't as interesting as Mankeys because they don't really go into the lore as much as they did with Mankey, which I say the lore, it's like one sentence, but still. Alright, so this is this part. Well, I just fall out the back. Ah! Fuck me. Whatever. I got it. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes I don't remember how far, if I'll be able to backtrack or if you get one shot at... Alright. I need to clear. I keep getting caught on the lip, so I think there's gonna have to be an element of roll jumping. Yep. There we go. That's a tricky one. And it, like, it's rare that they focus so much on Dixie's hair abilities. Both Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3 rarely pull that card where, no, you need to use Dixie's hair wafting or hair gliding, or else you can't get something. And both games do it, but it's a card they pull very seldom. We'll just ignore Kiddy also gliding through the air. I haven't really talked about Kiddy much, have I? As far as how divisive Kiddy is, which I think is bullshit. I don't know why Kiddy is divisive. I mean, I've heard theories. I've heard people explain why they hate Kiddy. I've never gotten it myself. I think Kiddy only fails when you compare him to Diddy or Dixie. Because they were both sidekick characters in their debut games, and of course they became so popular that it was warranted to give them their own games and make them the stars of the direct sequels. So the fact that Kiddy doesn't have that pull, he doesn't have that innate quality that really makes you want to know more about him. I mean, he's a toddler. There's not much more to know at this stage in his life. But I think that almost has to be by design. That's always been my argument. They had to close the cycle somehow, right? They couldn't just give Dixie a sidekick character who would overshadow her in the way that Dixie's almost overshadowed Diddy. And I ran out of time, damn it. I don't even know where the bonus coin spawned. Anyway, that makes it sound like I'm giving Kiddy shit. I think Kiddy's a perfectly fine character, but he's a blank slate. Let's be honest. He's a blank slate, and he should be a blank slate, because you're not supposed to come out of this game being like, oh, I can't wait to know more about the further adventures of Diddy Kong. It just, it's Dixie's character journey, her hero journey, her arc, and Kiddy really is just there because she doesn't have anybody else, and it plays into that babysitter aspect that I talked about before. And I think it works, and I think it works well in Donkey Kong Land 3 when they find a new way to revisit it. But there it is. Got it. That doesn't mean I don't want Kiddy to be back. I don't want to see Kiddy explored. I absolutely agree that it should have been Kiddy in Donkey Kong 64. Like, I like Chunky, I like Tiny, don't get me wrong, but I think it was a huge missed opportunity to not have these two Kongs in Donkey Kong 64. I'll argue that until I'm as blue in the face as Kiddy's onesie. And, you know, Lanky would have been fine as a character. I think you could have aged up Kiddy into Chunky, and it would have worked. Not to say, at this stage, I don't want to lose Chunky in the canon, or whatever, but I don't know. It's just weird that they had 4 established Kongs by the end of Donkey Kong Country 3. They were going into the N64, and they didn't do anything with that. You'd think they would have done something like that. Anyway, here's Riverside Race. And I'm of two minds about this because I don't think we should beat the record yet. I think it will mean more if we beat the record when we talk to Brash. So we're not going to try to beat the record. We're just going to do this relatively slow, relatively straight. As you can see, there's the record down there for Brash. And then there's our timer. And we're being chased by little buzzes, little bees. They're actually just little buzzes. Their character model is Buzz. You can kind of make it out. You can't get me. You can't get me down here. So this is our first riverbank stage. Another archetype that you would think would have appeared in a Donkey Kong game before now. I got by the buzzes. These environments have a little bit of nope. They have a little bit of the feel, I think, of the Kremlings Forest, like Gloomy Gulch, but it's a little bit more chipper. They've still got the fungal overgrowth. It sort of looks a little bit like Dream. The footage we've seen of Dream, this is where Edson was walking around. Looks like nope, those buzzes are gonna get me. New Fungus Forest and Banjo-Kazooie. Those renders too. It's got a little bit of that vibe. A whole lot of that vibe, for honest. Alright, so I want to water skip up there. I think that's what I want to do. But it won't happen if they get me. Got it. Of course, if you're trying to beat Brash's record, you don't want to be doing this, which is why it's probably good to do it first and not worry about the record until after you talk to him. It just pulls. It has more weight, like having him be this blustering bully and then ruining his day like immediately afterward, versus like meeting him and then instantly soiling his record. I'm gonna run out of time. Damn it. I should switch from Kiddy is what I should do. Dixie is the more agile swimmer. She's also smaller. There's this idea that, you know, Dixie's better at everything. It's not true. Even in Donkey Kong Country 2, where it's just so easy to spam Dixie, she's not better at things like climbing or even swimming. In this game, I don't know, maybe Kiddy is the better swimmer, but Dixie's still smaller, and when you're going through tight spaces like that, it just makes sense. They do stop the timer when you're in a bonus area, so that's good. You know, maybe Brash wouldn't have set this record if he wasn't being chased by bees all the time. Alright then. That was kind of worthless. Taken out by Coco. Ah. It's interesting you get to the Star Barrel and it also saves your time that you had when you got to the Star Barrel. That's not something you see often in time trials. This is the first time trial in a Donkey Country 3 game. Of course, this is nowhere near as challenging as Professor Chops' trials in Retro's games. It does make me wonder, right, like, how Brash Bear would fare against Professor Chops' challenges, right? Can he get a shiny gold DK? Oh, rare frontal shot of a recoil. Gonna have to go back. I lost Kiddy. I'm also getting very tired. There's a lot to talk about with Donkey Kong Country 3, and it's as draining as doing a podcast about it. Dixie's hair twirl's a little bit more self-assured than Kiddy's roll. Alright. Still need to get the hero coin here, though. Memory is serving me right. Yeah, so I gotta get up there. Not over there, yeah. Oh, do I have to water skip? Is that it? I have to avoid the bees, though. Okay, so I'm gonna have to water skip. Alright. Okay, so maybe I was wrong. The water skipping definitely comes more in handy than I thought, than I remembered. Good on you, Kiddy Kong. I'll save, just because it's here. Yeah, you're on your last life in Super Mario 64, Wrinkly. Doesn't fucking matter. I'm not gonna make out with you. Kiss your corpse at the wake. Alright, Squeals on Wheels, which a Super Mario Wiki will point out is a reference to Meals on Wheels. Alright, so I think this is the one that was switched in Lake Orangutanga with, I want to say the Ellie one, but maybe the doorstop one. Anyway, that's how you open doors. In this one is you have to take out the squeal, or excuse me, the sneak. I keep wanting to call them squeals because of this damn level, but the sneaks on the wheels. And oh, we got a little Perry action coming up. Perry the Parallel Bird, the other new animal buddy in this game, alongside Ellie. Luckily here, you know, there's no timer like there is in Doorstop Dash. Oh, shit. I think Dixie comes more in handy here, at least in certain contexts, as like the overhead ones for sure, but... It's also funny how steel kegs made such a comeback in this game, because they were a pretty prominent part of the first game, and then they weren't in the second one. So I do like how they revived something that the original DKC team sort of weeded out of the sequel, and they were like, no, we're going to make that important again. Just kind of cool to see elements coming back, flitting in and out. Alright. Oh, I have to jump on the wheel. Now I have to jump on it. I just want to take a steel keg with me at all times for safety. You see, we got the locked little trap door there. That's the end game. You're basically opening up... Shit! You're opening up all the trap doors and then you fall through at the end. It's a nice little dramatic set piece at a time when... At a time before, we'll say, all Donkey Kong Country levels ended with dramatic set pieces, which kind of became the standard in the retro era. Everything becomes big and bombastic. Of course, red buzzes are the invulnerable ones. Playing off of the same visual language as zingers. Except in this case, it's the green buzzes that are the standards, not the yellow ones. Alright, but which way do I go? Yeah, I'll go down here. Okay. Maybe don't try to get up there with the steel keg. Yeah, because I didn't need to. You never know. There might be a coin. Wow, I whiffed that. I was just about to say, wow, this isn't very challenging. You'd think that the motion of the wheels would really make it hard, and then just as those words were about to leave my lips, you know, I fell to my death. A weakness of this game is that we don't know at this point what the bonus coins are even for. It's not communicated to you whatsoever. Whereas, like, with Krem coins, we knew. It was clubba. You paid them the clubba, and you got to go to the Lost World. Like I said, a lot of this game the story is nebulous, and it kind of unfolds in drips and drabs, and that can kind of be fun, especially if you're willing to go on the journey with you, but I see why a lot of gamers lost their patience. Too far, Kiddy. Grab 15 bananas. Wonder if this is where Chunky developed his taste for unripened bananas. If Kiddy got a hankering for them after all of these adventures and these bonus stages, and then brought it home to the family. Keep looking in the background there. There's like an N in the... You see there's an N? Some sort of like N, but it keeps looking like the Killer Instinct logo to me. I should have actually been paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing and not the background. Whoa, green buzzes. Didn't expect that. Brought my own keg, but thank you. I love coin. There are certain Kremlings in this game that I think are right up there with the ones from, we'll say, the first 4 Donkey Kong games made by Rare. I think Coin is up there. I think Copter is definitely up there. I'll put a good word in for Recoil too. And you know, Payon did bring back Copter in Barrel Blast, so I'm not the only one who thought so. I completely missed that. Alright. Is it because I'm falling and it's not detecting the hit? Okay, well then I won't fall. Problem solved. But yeah, I like Kiddy. I do. I have a lot of affinity for Kiddy. Is Kiddy my favorite Kong? No. But I think the hate for Kiddy is just weirdly overblown. It's one of those disproportionate things that I did not realize being in my DK Vine bubble. And then the broader internet consensus that developed around Kiddy kind of surprised me. I'm like, alright, whatever. Now, I did hate the way they promoted the game at the time, where they diminished Dixie's role, because they thought that boys wouldn't want to play a game starring a girl. And so in the commercial, it was Donkey Kong Country 3 starring Diddy Kong. It was really stupid, but and here we're falling through all the way down, and see, and there, oh my god, Perry the Parallel Bird. And Parallel Bird is the one time Rare just completely made up a species to serve as I think Perry can take out booty birds, but I don't want to risk it because I get a balloon. Yeah, Parallel Birds, they just completely made up some sort of sparrow or something, but they just gave it this like funky touch to it, and it works. I think they were well within the rights to add to something. Of course, a scant year and a half or so later, or actually just less than a year later, when they announced the game to the public, we got red-crested Breagles, and Breagles as a whole. So, you know, we would be warmed up to the idea of completely fictional animal species, thanks to the likes of Perry, and of course banana birds in the game too. But yeah, that is a good stopping point, and we're at the 2-hour mark now, so I'm gonna go save at Wrinkly. I'm glad Cranky doesn't know about this new console. If he did, I'd never be able to get him off it, because he's such a hypocrite, right? He complains about this, but then when nobody's looking, he really wants to play it. It's also surprising that Cranky wouldn't know about the N64. You know, you'd think Cranky would keep up on industry news just so he could complain about it. But I think it's true to his character, especially with what we would later see with Tropical Freeze. Really, Cranky's bitterness doesn't stem from actually hating new technology and the way the industry evolved. It's just him not being a part of it. So when he can be a part of it and when he's treated as vital and respected, he then just suddenly shuts up. So, hey, all right, well, that's something. It claims it's only an hour, only under an hour of gameplay, but we have been here for 2 hours, so I'm gonna call it for our first stream for DK Vine Done Slow, Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, ! I want to thank everybody who tuned in. Dustin says, what a good stream. Remember when Swanky was on screen? I do. John Tessier says, peace out, man. Dipping into some of that funky Kong parlance here. Josh says, Perry can indeed take out the booty. Perry can take out my booty any day, if you know what I mean. Well, yeah. Wink. Anyway, Ivy was in the chat, says, if someone commits a crime on DK Island, are they sent to the Banana Slammer? I'm gonna steal that, Ivy. I will try to credit you when I do, but eventually I will use that. Anyway, thanks to Chris, thanks to everyone who tuned in, Snapple Apple, thanks to anybody who watched this on YouTube or catches the VOD on Twitch. Be sure to tune in this Sunday, if you're watching this live, that is. Be tuned to tune in this Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. GMT for DK Vine's Stream of Thieves. We will be doing Adventure 10 for Sea of Thieves, the time-limited adventure that will see the return of Captain Briggsy, or at least the lore surrounding Captain Briggsy and Tasha, and who knows what else. Dreadfully Evil will be partaking in the adventure, and you can join us too. Also, remember the Idaho crew will be streaming Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. They will be playing Banjo, Kazooie, Nuts and Bolts some more. So give them a tune in if you have never played Nuts and Bolts and you're curious. If you're a little bit Nuts and Bolts curious and want to give it a fair shake after the years of hatred. If you saw this stream and realize, hey, Kiddy's not so bad, maybe you'll come to that same conclusion about Nuts and Bolts. And I will be back here next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. GMT, as I finish up Kemwood Forest in DK Vine Done Slow and raise the eternal question: what to play first, Mechanos or Cotton Top Cove? We'll have the debate then. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.